Good evening, everybody. Councillors, officers and members of the public, either in attendance or watching at home, welcome to this evening's Planning Committee. Just want to run through some housekeeping rules. Should the fire alarm sound, if there's a need to evacuate, please follow the lead of our officers and exit the building on their instruction and congregate where indicated at the front of the building so we can make sure that everyone is accounted for. Do not use the lifts. Thank you. For those in the public gallery, please do not lean on the glass. Please ensure mobile phones are either set to silent or switched off. The meeting is being recorded and you may be visible on camera. If this is an issue, please let one of the officers present know of your concern. I will now run through the protocol for member and public participation and the rules of the debate. Please note that the Chair's ruling during the debate will be final. The planning officer will introduce the item relating to the planning application and summarise the main points. Members will have the opportunity to ask questions of the officer. I will then invite members of the public who have registered to speak on an item to address the meeting. If you have registered to speak, I will introduce you by name and invite you to come forward. Please use the microphone. You will have 3 minutes unless you are told differently, and I will be asked to stop once your time has expired. Members of the committee will then be given the opportunity to ask questions or to clarify statements. The item will then be moved and seconded and debated before a vote is taken. We will now move on to the agenda. Item 1, apologies for absences. Carol?
Thank you. I have apologies from Councillors Brackenbury, Hall and Kilgallen, and we have Councillor Carvetta here as substitute for Councillor Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Item 2, minutes of the meeting held on the 19th of December. You have the minutes from 19th of November in your pack. Do I have a proposer, please, to adopt the minutes? Thank you, Moss. Sorry? No, we don't need a second on that one. Right, so everybody's agreed the minutes are accurate on the 19th? Okay, thank you. And do I have a seconder for that? Thank you very much. And can I just have a quick show of hands, just for clarity? Okay, I think that's pretty unanimous. Cheers, thank you. I've now carried them and I will sign the minutes. Item 3, members' declarations. Members, can I ask you to confirm that you are coming to the meeting with an open mind and that if you're not predetermined, the application before you? Dennis?
Chair, just to let you know, I just returned from holiday late last night and today I spent most of the time reading all of my emails and the submissions that were sent to me. Unfortunately, it's one of these situations where I can't unknow what I've read, so I'm going to have to recuse myself from the first
Thank you very much, Dennis. Can I ask if anybody's visited any of the sites detailed on the agenda? Councillor Lloyd?
Thank you, Chair. Visited both the Raunds and the Stanton cross site.
Thank you very much. And finally, does anyone have any declaration to make if you could state the item, nature of your interest, whether it's disclosable pecuniary interest or non-statutory interest? That would be helpful. Right, thank you, members. Right, item 4. We have... bear with me just 1 second. Okay. Right, item 4. I'd just like to hand over to our legal. Oh, was it item 5? It was. Sorry. Apologies. Right, so item 4. We have had an updated agenda. I don't know whether members have read it or seen it. If you haven't, would you like 15 minutes to read it before we start item 4 agenda?
I haven't read it. I haven't had an opportunity this afternoon. So,
would you like 15 minutes?
if it's relevant and being,
It is relevant, yeah.
I think I need to read it. I don't know if anybody else has not read it.
I haven't read it either. I haven't been sent anything.
So what we'll do, we'll have 15 minutes. If you could take 15 minutes and come back around about 19:25, yeah? Are you all happy, James?
Yes, thank you. I think I've taken most of it on board.
Thank you very much, James. And Jonathan, are you all happy? Yes. Okay. So, sorry about the delay, everybody, but we're ready to move on to item number 4, which is NW-25 00452-MPO Land Area 12A Local Centre, Stanton Cross, Wellingborough. I will now hand over to Wayne Campbell, who will give us his report. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Chair. I take it you can all hear me okay. This proposal does not relate to a planning application nor a reserved matters application, but a request from the applicant to modify a clause within the signed Section 106. The clause is to modify relates to the trigger point for the provision of a retail unit on Stanton Cross development located to the east of Wellingborough. As the request is for a modification of a clause, there is no requirement for public consultation. It is a legal matter between North Northants Council, the Planning Authority and the applicant. The request made by the applicant...
Sorry, Wayne, could you just speak up a little bit, because I think people can't hear you.
New at this.
Cheers, thank you.
No problem. Sorry about that. The request made by the applicant relates to clause 4.6.3 subsection 2 of the Section 106 agreement, which states the following: prior to the first occupation of the 1200th dwelling, provided to Shell and Core, the supermarket and convenience retail units, offer them and not to first occupy or cause or permit to first occupation of the 1200th dwelling until that has been done, provided that the convenience retail units shall be provided to Shell and Core prior to the supermarket opening to the public. Essentially, the clause or the trigger requires the provision of a supermarket by the 1200th occupation on the site. Clause 1.6 of the Section 106 allows the developer to request an amendment or a modification to a number of trigger points in the Section 106, and the developer has requested this modification via this clause. Although I've mentioned that there was no need for a public consultation, due to the growing concerns over the lack of retail facilities, officers advised Wellingborough Town Council of the request made by the developer, but confirmed that there was no consultation required. Members will see from the committee report, as well as from the update reports, that there has been a significant number of public comments, as well as comments from the Town Council, Wellingborough Town Council, and the ward members, and there is a strong objection to this request before you tonight. The developer has confirmed, as part of the documents submitted with their request, that following marketing of the site, no retail operator has come forward to agree terms to develop the site as a supermarket or retail. The developer has also confirmed a marketing agent has advised them that the site would not be a viable business opportunity for a retail operator until there is 2,000 households within the catchment area. As such, the request is for the Section 106 trigger to be amended from 1,200 to 2,000 household occupations. In reviewing this request, it is considered that the developer has made a case and their request is supported, and members are recommended to agree this amendment to the Section 106 trigger point. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Wayne. I'll hand over to members now. Have you got any questions of clarity or anything like you'd like to ask Wayne? James?
Thank you, Chair. In the report, it refers to a phrase, build out. I'm not too sure what that means. Is that build the shell and core? Is that relating to fit out?
No, I take it the point that you're making is where I've referred to the requirements being raised, enforcement or requiring the developer to build out this scheme. That would be to actually build the scheme out in accordance with the Section 106, but not to provide the retailer.
Okay, so it's just to provide the shell and core. Thank you.
Willie?
Thank you, Chair. Could you tell me, please, we're talking about setting the trigger at 2,000 properties. Is there any idea when 2,000 properties would be achievable by?
We can't sort of turn around and say that it will be definitely by such a date. What I can tell members is that as part of the monitoring process, the developer provides us with details of houses that have been built and sold, etc. As of September, which is the last monitoring date, the figure of occupations was 1,345. So they are making progress. They are clearly over the 1,200, which they accept and they appreciate, the same as the council. But I can't tell you for sure that 2,000 occupations will be reached by such and such a date.
Ben?
Thank you, Chair. Would we accept this level of marketing evidence for a full application? And if not, why would it be acceptable in this case? Thank you.
Yes, in terms of this is not an application. This is a request. The developer has provided us with a letter from a marketing agent. They are a marketing agent who has a wealth of experience. They deal with a number of major retail companies, so they do know what they're talking about. So yes, I believe that the information that's been provided is correct and it is sufficient.
Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So you say 1,345 in September. What was it the September previous to that? Do you know?
I'm afraid I don't know that figure, no.
So there's no way of gauging for us to gauge how fast that's running.
Yeah, that might be a question that the speaker, the developer, may be able to help because he's speaking as part of this process.
Right. Okay, fine, thank you. I shall hold that question for him. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much, Wayne. We've got many speakers on this, so I'm going to call forward Adam Fox from the Stanton Cross Residents Association. Adam, you have 3 minutes.
Thanks. Stanton Cross Residents Association I'm representing today and object to the application to vary the trigger for the building of the supermarkets. This is an increase of approximately 70%. This will likely delay, based on previously built property rate, the development of the supermarket until approximately 2028 or later. For this reason, many residents, some of whom moved here over 6 years ago, who were told that the shops will be coming soon, have already decided to move, and we are told that others will consider this as well, which would delay the occupation of 2,000 dwellings even further. Despite the impact on the residents, we were not told about this application by SCD LLP and were not invited to comment. Given the strength of feeling, proper consultation was essential. Instead, we were able to find a planning application ourselves and encourage the local residents to comment, which they did in large numbers. There is also strong reason to doubt that this variation will result in the delivery of the retail premises on time. There's a single piece of evidence provided, which quotes the lack of primary transport route as a supposed reason why the space is not currently sufficiently attractive. It's a main road leading from a train station and is certainly attractive from our perspective and carries a high degree of carries a high volume of traffic visible to the residents. The development is also the responsibility of SCD LLP, and the deadlines for building the other roads into the development have not yet been met. As a result, this appears to be a problem of their own making. Secondly, this application to vary was made well after the trigger had already been reached, and therefore after SCD LLP were already in breach of the agreement. It would have been known for many, many months before that deadline, which was, it would have been known that the deadline was going to be missed for many, many months beforehand. The failure to act promptly and before breaching the agreement raises questions as to whether a revised variation will have any impact or be honoured. Third and finally, the lack of evidence provided to support the application is a further reason to doubt the intention to honour a delayed trigger. The residents of Stanton Cross have witnessed firsthand that efforts have been made to attract homeowners, including the promise of shops coming soon, which presumably have been highly profitable to the developer. In contrast, we've seen no evidence or very little evidence provided to demonstrate similar efforts to attract a commercial developer. The officer's report suggests that there is no retail operator interest. We and previous members of the Resident Association have been told numerous times that there is plenty of interest and that a deal has been near at various times in the past. This would suggest that a deal can indeed be reached for the right price, and if a variation is agreed as detailed, then the means to encourage SCD LLP to offer the right price is lost. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Adam. Would you just remain seated for a few minutes?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Members, would you like any questions of clarity? Thank you, Adam. You may take your seat.
Thank you.
Next up, we have we have Marion Turner-House next, Councillor for Wellingborough.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just to clarify, I'm Marion Turner-Hawes. I am a Town Councillor at Wellingborough Town Council, and I'm a Ward Councillor for Victoria Ward, in which Stanton Cross is based. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
You have 3 minutes, Marion.
Thank you. I was dismayed to read the request from Stanton Cross Developments to vary this agreement, effectively putting back the arrival of long-awaited retail units for what could be up to a further 3 years. Some residents, as been mentioned, have been living at Stanton Cross for over 6 years and verging on 7 years. Yet no retail unit of any kind is presently available on site. Many residents don't have their own transport. It is not a short walk from the town centre to Stanton Cross or to the closest supermarket, which is probably towards Tesco's. People have to use a car, bus or taxi even to get a pint of milk or a paper. The developer has been aware for some time about the concerns of residents on this matter. So for residents, this request is both upsetting and shows a lack of good faith given the ongoing discussions between the Residents Association and Stanton Cross Developments. Worse still, the fact that the planning officer is recommending the request be accepted, despite the many hundreds of objections, has us questioning who is prepared to stand up for our communities and enforce agreements, particularly this agreement. I challenge the assertion by the planning officer that by the council either encouraging the developer to build retail units or the council enforcing the present agreed trigger point, that this would be counterproductive and make the site less attractive to potential clients. Rather, I believe the council rejecting this application and enforcing the present agreement would firstly show the developer that agreements signed by them must be respected, and secondly would help residents and local business community to believe that the council and Stanton Cross Developments are serious about ensuring these promised facilities will arrive. In fact, this clarity may spark the developer to prioritise these actions and may even draw offers of assistance from local partners, such as the Chamber of Commerce, who I've spoken to this week and are offering support if those parties are interested in receiving it, to help Stanton Cross deliver shops on site much sooner. As for the planning officer's assertion that rejecting the developer's request would never negatively affect the development and put people off, it's much more likely to be the reverse. Given the many other similar developments in Wellingborough and across North Northants, which do have the required facilities, I would expect to see Stanton Cross residents voting with their feet and moving away. Indeed, some of those are already
Thank you,
doing
Marion. If you could just stay seated now, and we'll just see if there's any questions of clarity from our members.
Okay.
Anybody, gentlemen, ladies? Ben?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Marion. I was just wondering, you said about a potential 3-year delay. I'm just wondering how that's potentially been calculated and how you've come to that. Thank you.
I think it's about, if you understand, I mean, I'll say my vote, but I do want to make a point. Obviously, buildings are being started to be built there in 2018. So we're up to 1,349, I think it is, occupations since 2018. So we can work out the rate of development. It has been commonly suggested, and I know in conjunction with the Residents' Association, that that is somewhere in the region that we would expect if the rate of delivery continues in a similar vein. Clearly there were some changes with that during periods like COVID, etc., but that's been the general pattern. Equally, I'm surprised that the council doesn't know about that rate, given they are regularly meeting with the developer to discuss progress on this site.
Any other questions, clarity? No. Thank you, Marion.
Thank you very much, Chair.
We have now Councillor David Bowker, Ward Councillor, if you'd like to come forward. David, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on this agenda item this evening. If I could just start by offering my thanks to the Planning Officer, Wayne Campbell, for his notes in the agenda, and also, Wayne, for your engagement to date. It's greatly appreciated. As one of the ward councillors for Stanton Cross, and having been in regular liaison with the residents via the Residents' Association, I wholeheartedly disagree that this variation request should be accepted, and for the following reasons. Firstly, I have very serious concerns with the less than transparent approach taken with the residents to date on this matter, given the broken promises with regards to the retail unit. This developer, as the Residents' Association has already said, was fully aware months ago that it was not going to meet the 1,200 occupancy trigger. And yet houses continued to be sold on the estate on the promise of the retail centre in accordance with this existing trigger point. And the variation was then only submitted after another 145 or 149 occupancies had been reached. In my mind, this isn't the approach of a developer acting either in good faith or in an open and sincere manner. Why should residents therefore have to accept that they were sold properties on false pretences without the developer being held to account? Secondly, reference is made in the papers to the site not being attractive to a retail company unless it is located in an area with 2,000 households rather than 1,200. If we're to believe that is the case, then why on earth should the residents have to suffer because the developer erroneously agreed to that 1,200 figure in the first place? That responsibility rests with them and them alone, and the detrimental consequences of making that mistake should not be forced onto the residents as a result. Turning to the two alternatives in the paper, there are no substantive reasons that are provided that I can see as to why either should be rejected. Reference is made in option 1 to the residents losing confidence if the developer builds out the neighbourhood centre and retail unit in advance of an operator coming on board, and the retail unit then lies empty. In my engagement with the Residents' Association, if this committee agrees to the variation request this evening, then I can assure you that the residents' confidence is likely to be at rock bottom, and there will simply be no confidence left to lose in either this council or the developers. In terms of possible enforcement action, The dismissal of that approach in option 1 in the agenda papers begs the question as to when is it ever going to be taken, if not now. Dismissing it so readily simply provides an indication to all developers that they have the upper hand and they can run roughshod over this council on 106 obligations. Whatever position is agreed this evening, and presumably the committee can always agree alternative compromise figures between 1,200 and 2,000, for example, the developers must be held to account by providing a detailed timetable of the actions that they plan to take, who they plan to approach to occupy the retail unit, which stakeholders will be involved, all with proper oversight by NNC planning and in regular liaison with the residents via the Residents' Association. This will at least ensure that there is a plan to better enable the arrival of an occupied retail centre via an agreed timetable. Since this new council was elected in May, we've been told on a regular basis that it is prepared to listen to the concerns of residents. Now is the time to evidence that is the case and place the residents as the priority, and which is something, I might add, we're told is the case throughout the draft corporate plan presented to full council tomorrow evening. So if residents' concerns are to mean anything, this variation request should be declined. The developer should be held to account with an agreed timetable and action plan for delivery of the retail unit, accompanied with the necessary and proper oversight. And that will evidence that this council really does place the interests of the residents at the heart of its decision making.
Thank you very much, David. Do you mind just staying seated for a few minutes? Any questions for David? Willie?
Yes. Councillor Baker. Would the Residents' Association or any other body have any knowledge of who or which businesses have been approached by the developer? That is, what type of retailer?
So it was referred to that a big orange retailer was in the final stages of commercial agreement. That discussion took place with the previous RA.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Corn. I've just been informed that actually there was a big orange retailer who was in the final stages of discussions that the previous Residents' Association was involved in, but ultimately that didn't go forward.
Thank you, Willie. Any more questions? Okay, David, thank you. You may take your seat.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the committee.
We have Chris Tompkins next, if you'd like to come forward. You have three minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the committee, Mr. Speaker, or Mr. Chair, I should say. I'm here to speak this evening on behalf of Stanton Cross Developments and in support of the proposed amendment to the 106 concerning the implementation of the neighbourhood centre.
Sorry, could you speak up, please?
Sorry, I'll sit closer. Better? Check.
Carry on, I'll let you know.
We are acutely aware of the and understand the strength of feeling around what will be a key piece of infrastructure for both current and future residents. The neighbourhood centre will play a vital role in supporting a thriving community at Stanton Cross, and we are still committed to delivering that. The purpose of this amendment is entirely for regulatory purposes, to facilitate a sale of the land to a specialist developer who can bring forward these units. By making the land compliant with planning, we will be able to push a deal forward. We're in advanced discussions with a commercial specialist and the current trigger and planning position is a barrier to concluding these negotiations. It is quite literally that simple. And I'm happy to face any questions. I know there are a couple for me already around the table.
Okay, if you could remain seated then, and have we got questions of clarity? Willie?
Thank you. Could I ask if you would elaborate on the progress that has been attempted with regard to establishing a retail outlet?
Mm-hmm. So we've had the site on the market for approaching 6 years now with 2 agents. Normally you would have 1, so we have doubled the number of agents that are working on it. We've approached all of the major operators, and again, it's about finding the right partner to work with on the scheme, not any partner. And quite simply, the market has been very, very tough.
Thank you, Willie. Any more questions? Paul?
Going back to what they were saying, what we were talking about with the rate of sales. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you want to get to 2,000.
Yes.
Councillor Turner Hall said that in their estimate that would be about 3 years. Mm. And that's a long time.
Yeah. We currently occupy about 300 homes a year. So at the minute it would be 24 months approximately from this date at which we would hit that trigger. So we do provide a trajectory of homes to the council, to the 106 officer. So Wayne probably wouldn't be aware of those trajectories.
So basically what I was going to say is, so at your sales rate, the people that you've promised this to...
I do not believe we made any sales promises on that basis.
It's what, sorry?
I don't believe we made any sales promises on that basis.
So it's not in your literature that
that
you're building them by 1,200?
No. I don't believe any evidence to that effect has been presented to the committee or myself.
Okay, hang on. Right, no, it's all.
Thank you, Paul. Ben?
Thank you, Chair. Can I ask why this is coming through to planning now and not, say, a year or so ago? Thank you.
We are in regular liaison with the planners at the council to discuss all of our triggers. It's coming to committee now, later than we would have liked, but there is a regulatory process that we need to follow. That has been made somewhat more lengthy by the recent Isle of Wight case, which I'm sure you're all very aware of now.
James?
Thank you, Chair. I've got a query on the in the report 5.8, part of the developer's neighbourhood centre with retail unit. Mm-hmm. It states, as such, by requiring the developer to build out the neighbourhood centre with retail units, we would run the risk of building a facility which would not fit the retail operator's business layout. Mm. My experience with retail units is that they do occupy shell and core buildings. They like a nice square module that they can fit out, and leases often change, and you get one retailer leaving and another one moving in pretty much straight away. So I don't know why there's a statement about it might not fit the retail's operator's business layout. I don't know if you can explain more on that.
We have at Stanton Cross done our very best to deliver infrastructure early. That's been evidenced by opening £36 million worth of road infrastructure ahead of the trigger. We have opened a very substantial country park early, which is to great success, used by the Residents' Association for fetes and such. We do everything that we can to deliver the infrastructure early. So there's 2 earlier triggers to the neighbourhood centre, which both of we've met early. So we have opened what's called the infrastructure to service the land, the roads, the drainage. We've gone on
Sorry,
to
could
plan.
you speak up? I'm really struggling hearing you.
So I can hear myself really loudly.
It'd be nice if I could hear you, though.
We've planned it out in the second stage to lay out, I think it's the exact wording of the 106, the neighbourhood centre, again, to attract businesses towards it. We are not a commercial specialist. We are a residentially led developer, so I cannot speak as to whether or not that is an appropriate scheme that any of the people that we're trying to attract would be wanting to buy. Equally, we've been quite adventurous with the layout. We've put stuff above the commercial outlets, things like a gym, residential properties. Those are not always market facing.
Yeah, one further question.
Mm-hmm.
How long would the development take to construct? So if you got a contract, how long would it take to provide that building to the community with the retail outlets?
That does ultimately depend on what quantum is actually built out. We've submitted one reserve matters application. There's nothing to suggest that that will be the development that's ultimately built out. But my estimation was probably about 18 months from breaking ground to fit out and open.
Okay, so by which time we'd be up to about 1850 households would be occupied at the current rate of
Yeah, I don't disagree. We have set the trigger with it to be as sensitive as possible, to give ourselves an opportunity to make a reasonable commercial deal, because as you can probably appreciate, there will be step-in rights, etc., between ourselves and the eventual purchaser. They need to have the comfort that they can build that out in some safety and not expect us to come in and build at their expense.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny?
Thank you, Chair. So, Mr. Fox, you've mentioned sometimes your answers have been, the answer to the questions have been simple. So I'm just needing some clarification, really, because this is all about varying an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you just confirm when the figure of 1,200 was hit? Presumably you know that, do you?
I don't know that off the top of my head, I'm afraid.
Okay, so that really doesn't help me then with my following question, so I won't
I can find out.
That. No, okay, I thought you might know that. You seem to suggest the officer wouldn't, but I just assumed you would. But no, thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Any further questions? Okay, I've just got one simple question. You said you reached out to all major retailers.
Mm-hmm.
What about sort of lesser retailers? Have you tried smaller retailers to see if you could get any interaction?
How small?
Well, you tell me.
We haven't approached what you would consider one-man bands. We have gone down to what would be recognised high street brands.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Moss? Oh, sorry. Jonathan?
Thank you, Chair. So it's been stated that the marketing agent has advised that currently it's not viable for the retail units on the development. Now, as the developer, when were you actually informed of this?
I think the market has been informing us throughout the marketing period with the volume of inquiries that we've got. I think it's probably worth remembering the context that this 106 was signed in. Originally it was granted planning in 2008. It's a very old permission now. The commercial world was a very different place back then.
Jonathan, do you want to carry
on? No further questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. Moss, would you still like to speak?
Okay, so if you make a legally binding agreement with us, what do you expect us to do with that legal binding agreement? Do you expect us to hold you to account or let you get away with not going further and further to try and find a company willing to work for residents in that area?
I think it's worth remembering that the obligation is to simply construct the building. There is no guarantee that anybody would actually take occupation of it. So even if you were to find it in the public interest to enforce upon us and we were to build a building, it may still be stood empty until that time that it is commercially viable for an operator to start, open those doors and invite customers inside. It's also probably worth considering the drafting of the 106 and the wording. There is a quite clear mechanism for discussing certain triggers and amending them.
Paul?
So I go back to where I started. In your advertising, it says there is going to be shops and facilities. I've just read it now.
There is going to be, yeah. There will be.
But you've made a legally binding agreement to do them at 1200. You said that was when we wanted to do them. I just, you can't be selling houses, telling people they're going to get something.
Councillor, is there a question?
I'll walk away from it because I'm...
Okay. Jonathan?
Okay, so going back to what you said a moment ago, did I hear you right when you said that planning was first agreed on this development back in 2008?
I believe that was the original date of the outline. Forgive me if I'm out by a year or two.
Okay, but was there not a variation that was put in and submitted in 2015 and approved in 2016?
Yes. I do not believe it changed this trigger, though.
Okay, that's fine for now.
Any more questions? Clarifications? Okay, thank you very much. If you'd like to take your seat.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, could you just stay there 1 second?
Absolutely.
Sorry, Jonathan, carry on.
Sorry, apologise. Thank you, Chair. Is Stanton Cross your first housing development that you've ever done or managed or run?
Me personally, or Stanton Cross Developments as an entity?
As an entity?
Stanton Cross is a JV specifically set up to deliver this single development.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you everyone. For the purpose of the debate and in accordance with the Council's constitution, meeting procedures, rules 19.2 and 19.21, I will move the recommendation at item 7, page 18 of the pack as follows. It is recommended that the proposed modification in clause 4.63 of the section 106 agreement be approved and a trigger be provided, a retail unit be changed from 1,200 occupations to 2,000. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Right, let's have a good debate on this one. Thank you very much. Willie?
Thank you, Chair. Pardon me. I would speak against this one, actually. I don't think there's anything to be gained by extending or passing by the trigger. I think it's an opportunity for the developer to say, right, we don't have to do anything again now for about 2 or 3 years. And I'm very mindful here that when I first became a councillor on Corby Borough Council, I represented Little Stanton as part of my ward. And we had very, very much the same problem at Little Stanton as these unfortunate residents of Stanton Cross are having to endure. We had various, over the period of Little Stanton being built, we had various developers, a couple of them cowboys who went out of business, and the final one eventually went into liquidation, only after he'd taken a hell of a lot of money. But when Little Stanton was being built and almost completed, JME developers promised a sort of piazza-type town village centre. There'd be a bistro and a restaurant, a supermarket, hair salon, ladies and gents boutiques, etc. What we ended up with there was a porta cabin, operated by a one-man band, as the gentleman called it, a local grocer who put up a porta cabin as a temporary measure. And that's all we had in Little Stanton for several years. Because once that was there, the incentive, if you like, to go beyond that was no big deal. The gentleman says that you need the right type of operator. If you're looking at something like Tesco, Morrison's, etc., and they're not coming, then you have to sort of look down a little. Like maybe a Premier, which I have across the road from me, cracking little shop, or a Spar. If we consider petrol stations that are popping up all over the place nowadays, almost all of them have a retailer in there. Some have several retailers in, and they're working perfectly well. So I would suggest that perhaps the developer at Stanton Cross is looking a wee bit higher than it may aspire to at this moment in time. And like Little Stanton, perhaps when the properties do get filled up, then Tesco might open a little, I think it's a Tesco Express, the smaller type one that they have in Little Stanton, which is obviously very profitable because Tesco wouldn't be there if it wasn't. I think it's disingenuous really to say, we've done this, we've done that. I know that they've not done anything. They've done very little. They've spoken to some people, spoken to a few agents, experts, and the experts have told them things that they didn't want to hear, so they've put it in the back burner. They might, if they put up a building as a retail outlet, it may be the wrong size or shape. I don't hold with that one at all. I shop at Aldi, and my wife and I go to Aldi, different Aldi stores or Lidl stores or wherever. They're all very much of a muchness. You don't have huge differences. And if it is the case that a retail outlet must be suited to the retail sector, then what does that tell us about Wetherspoons, for example? For they'll take an old cinema, a swimming baths, a bank, a furniture store, and they'll turn it into the outlet that they seek to trade by. So I think the developers' arguments are very, very weak here. Thank you, Chair. Sorry to go on about it.
No, thank you very much, Willie. Would anybody else like to come back on that? Darren?
I also lived in Little Stanton, and I can agree with what you were saying. So it's obvious that we've gone past the threshold, and we've got people here that, well, obviously would be using the services if provided. My background is actually design, architecture, and from experience, if you build it, someone will come and want to take it. So really, I can't see no good reason to actually, well, postpone it.
Thank you, Darren. Ben?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be honest, I've just completely not been convinced by the applicant for this in the slightest. I mean, the point that was made was, which I think you asked the question, Chris, about the types of tenants that have been approached, of which have obviously been on the higher end of the market, the big brands. Kind of, again, following on from Councillor Raunds' point, build it and they will come. The big brands aren't representative of the whole market. The big brands aren't representative of the whole market, so I personally don't feel like the evidence that has been put forward to us holds enough weight for me to say that it's worth postponing. I was going to say, and then, if that development starts now, I mean, by the time it's completed, you'll be approaching that 2,000 home mark anyway, based on the current build-out. So, if we're delaying it to 2,000, then it's going to take, again, another 2-3 years on top of that. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. I think Alex would like to say something.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify a point from what you've heard from the speaker on behalf of Stanton Cross. So what they've said is what they're looking to do is engage a specialist developer to develop that area. What they're saying is they've made a reserve matters application for that area, which they made, and I forget the exact wording, but they're saying they designed that as non-specialist developers for retail and commercial areas, with residential units above the retail units, and a gym, I think, was also referenced in what's been said to you. What I believe they're looking to do is to engage with a specialist developer, not necessarily the retail operators themselves, but a developer that can come in and build out that area. What they're saying to you is their expertise is building houses. What they want is a partner to come in and build this out as a commercial area, somebody with that expertise to do that. And they are requesting the variation of the trigger in the 106 so that the land is not at risk of enforcement to complete that deal with the person that's coming in. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear in terms of your debate before you come to your final conclusion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alex. Maurice?
Yeah, well, my thinking is if there's more evidence which the developer can show us, we will consider what he wants us to consider. But going off the evidence, what we've got right now, I'm not comfortable with giving him the opportunity because I don't see the necessity of making residents wait another 3-4 years or however long it's going to be. Because he said they're selling 300 houses a year, didn't he say, or something like that? And at that rate, you're going to be waiting until like the next millennium for the properties to be sold. So, yeah, I'm going to hold him to account on this one.
Thank you, Maurice. Anybody else? Oh, James?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I think I would echo the points previously made by the speakers. And in addition, I'm sure market conditions have changed and fluctuated since the original planning application. But I'm not sure how much of an implication that has on shopping and shopping trends. I note in the report that it refers to shopping habits changing, but I think they've been quite cyclical in recent years. People used to pop down the corner shop and get things, then it was the big weekly shop, and now it seems to be reverting more to popping down the local shop and not doing a big weekly shop. And online shopping has always been something people have been doing in the last 20 years. It's not something I do, but I know plenty of people do, and I don't think that's changed considerably. Also, I think there is flexibility with the shell and core approach. I don't see why it has to be a bespoke arrangement, and I'm concerned about further delay, waiting to the 2000 trigger. We've had an indication of 18 months for the plan to go forward to completion and being open. It might be as little as 12 months, but we're sort of getting up to 2,400 households, which is double the original trigger point, which is concerning, and also the effect this is having on the community with stranded people. This mention of old age pensioners who have to get limited bus service, so they're getting expensive taxis. Parents with young children perhaps don't have a car or can't drive. Again, there's issues reaching the shops that they were expecting at the 1,200 household limit. And also there's impacts, there's more travel, there's more car journeys if people are having to travel into the town centre or other supermarkets in the town. There's implications with that regards climate change, pollution, noise, wear and tear on our pothole-ridden roads. So that's a concern for me. So I'm minded to say that the trigger point of 2,000 is too long away. I think there'll be up to twice as many houses occupied before it's delivered.
So thank you, James. Paul?
Yeah, just quickly, I agree pretty much with everything that everyone said. I've been in the building trade most of my life, and I've seen this so many times, and I've seen the outcomes, and I think I worked on that site, the JME one, in Little Stanton. I'm just of the opinion that you can't sell the dream and then pull the plug. It's not fair. It really annoys me, and I certainly don't think I can vote for an extension on this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. And Jonathan, would you like to come back?
Thank you, Chair. So for me, again, very much like all the others, I seem to echo the same. The way I look at this is if a specialist developer is to develop the retail space, then that tells me that whilst the retail space is being developed, so will the houses continue to be built and continue to be sold. So for me, I don't feel that an extension is something that I can agree with, I'm afraid.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. And Ben again.
Thank you, Chair. Alex, you mentioned about planning enforcement and the specialist developer potentially needing certainty about, around that issue. I mean, obviously we're here today to vote for or against whatever on this specific application of deferral to 2,000. But does any enforcement actually necessarily need to take place other than just get on and build it?
Sorry, Ben, we can't bring enforcement into it. We're just talking about the application, but thank you very much. Any other speakers? No? Well, I think... Oh, sorry, Ben, would you like to come back?
Thank you, Chair. No, it was a separate point on our 5-year housing supply. If we're going to be delaying this, obviously Stanton Cross is a large portion of our housing supply. I just worry that this potentially slows down the rate of build out and could harm us in other ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. Would anybody else to add anything to this? Well, I think we've had a really good debate on this, and so I think we'll move to the vote. Can I ask members to raise the orange card in favour? Okay, and now can I ask members to vote, raise a yellow card against? Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, yeah, 9. So we have 9 against, and can I just ask if there's any abstainees or anything like that? No? So I would say the vote has been against, and it was 9 against. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Is Dennis speaking? No, Dennis can't come back. Sorry. Right, we'll now move on to item 5. That is NE-25-00545-FUL 21 Richardson Way, Raunds, Wellingborough, NN9 6RH. And now I'll hand over to James Patterson to present his report. James.
Thank you, Chair. I think our legal advisor would like to say something first on this item.
No? Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. It was brought to my attention earlier today that at around 11:57 a.m. Material relating to this item 5 was directly sent to members of the Planning Committee. I did email members at 4 o'clock today, informing them that in the interest of fairness, this information that was circulated to you, it was my advice not to rely on the information informing your view on this application today. Given the timing of the material being circulated directly to members, officers had not had an opportunity to review this information, to provide a response to it in the update papers, which are due to be published at 12 p.m. on a Wednesday, or to upload the information to public access. So I'm informing members now, just in case they haven't had an opportunity to have a look at their emails.
Thank you. Welcome back, Des. Right, so I will now hand over to James Patterson. Oh, sorry.
I just after a little bit of clarification on what the legal advisor rounded up saying then. We've received emails, or an email, and you're going to load that up to the planning portal, or?
No, so it was brought to my attention that somebody emailed material directly to members of the Planning Committee today.
Yes.
In relation to this item 5. And given the timing that that material was circulated directly to Planning Committee members only, officers were not able to review that information, provide an assessment, and provide details in the update paper. The email I saw came through at 11:57 a.m. today, and update papers are usually published around 12 p.m. On the day of committee. Because there hasn't been an opportunity for officers to review this material, or for it to be placed in the public domain, to ensure fairness in determining this application, members should not rely on that information that was provided directly to the Planning Committee when forming their view this evening. Is that clear?
Yes. So basically, disregard it if you've read it, which I haven't. Okay, thank you.
James, thanks very much. Now I'll pass over to...
Going on the basis that the majority of us might have seen this email, should we not give the officers time to go through their legal advice on this and postpone it for another night?
Bear with me while I consult with the interim head of planning. It's our understanding that the information that was circulated will be forthcoming as part of a public speaker this evening. So I think maybe let's allow the public speaker to speak, and then officers can take a view at that stage.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to hand over to you, James.
Thank you, Chair. So just to confirm, there's no written updates relating to this application, but sort of as a brief verbal update, officers wish to supplement their remarks in relation to the Town Council's representation. Turning to point number 5, as set out in the report, it's just to note that notwithstanding the fact that rights of access over land are a civil matter and not material and planning decisions, Officers note that the portion of Berrister Place next to 21 Richardson Way is public highway as indicated on the plan, showing the adopted highway boundary that's also in the report in the highway section. Having also reviewed the land registry documents associated with 21 Richard Way and Mapleton, it is officers' understanding that the road is not within the ownership associated with either property. So this application relates to 21 Richardson Way within the settlement confines of Raunds, as shown outlined in red. The site forms part of a 1990s housing estate in the northern portion of Raunds. The site is surrounded to the north and east by other houses which form part of the same housing estate, while to the west lies Mapleton, a bungalow built prior to Richardson Way, which has its access from Berrister Place. And it's separated from the site by a small lane, which is itself adopted highway. To the south of the site lies Wellingborough, a large attractive stone dwelling constructed in a Georgian vernacular. The application seeks full planning permission for a single-storey rear extension, a side and front two-storey extension, the demolition of the existing garage and erection of a new garage, creation of hard standing forward of the front elevation of the dwelling, and the creation of a new access onto Berrister Place, and finally alterations to the fenestration and materiality of the existing dwelling. It should be noted that a single-storey rear extension of a similar scale could be constructed without the need to apply for planning permission, as could the permeable hard standing to the front of the house. Demolition of the garage would likewise be permitted without planning permission. Importantly, as explained in the officer report, the creation of a new means of access to Berrister Place would also be permitted development and would not require formal planning permission. The key matters for consideration which do require planning permission are the replacement garage, the side extension, the front extension, and the changes to the materiality of the dwelling, which do all require permission. Right, so we should quickly whiz through the plans, as members will have seen these before. So just explain, this is a existing site plan, so you can see the existing garage, access onto Richardson Way, and conservatory to the rear of the house. Existing floor plan showing the same. Existing elevations, obviously showing it's a fairly typical 1990s house in the context of Richardson Way. Existing visuals, which I think members may find helpful. And turning to the proposed plan, obviously you've got the single-storey element here, and then two-storey side and front wraparound extension there. You've got the oh yeah, sorry, you can see my mouse, so I'm just going to change to a pointer. Okay, that's not working. Right, I shall revert to a cursor. So the outline of the garage to be demolished is here, proposed new garage here. This is all hard standing, and the new means of access onto Berrister Place would be via this access here. Again, this proposed floor plans, so again up here you've got the rear extension and then the two-storey side and front extensions there. And then obviously you can see the extensions here and changes to the materiality of the house. Proposed garage, elevations and visuals. So this is an amendment, importantly, the false window fronting Richardson Way, just to add visual interest, so that was part of an amendment. Again, proposed visuals, assist members. Okay, these are photos of the external aspects of the site, which again will be self-explanatory. So this is standing on Richardson Way looking towards the site, which is here. And then you've got Berrister Place just through there. Again, another view of the site there. So this is the garage associated with number 21, and then the cut through to Berrister Place. And you can see the gate serving the access to Mapleton across Berrister Place. This is a view from the corner of the front garden of the site, facing towards number 12, which backs onto the site. This is a view from the northwest corner of the site, so roughly where the access would go, looking down Barrister Place. Again, this is same spot looking the opposite way. This is a view of the entrance of Barrister Place. So you've got the number 21 here, the application site behind these bushes, and this is, I think it's Willow, which is an attractive stone building in the Georgian style. And this is just sort of a view, Barrister Place looking south, and then Barrister Place looking north. So again, you've got the site up here, and this would be the means of access. And again, this is just a view of the current western boundary. Obviously, the application calls for the removal of some of the hedges. And again, just looking over the hedges towards the current side elevation of number 21. Finally, we have a aerial, just from Google to give some context. Obviously, that's my rough outline in red there. So overall, planning officers consider the proposed development comply with the policy set out in the development plan, and therefore, subject to conditions set out in the officer report, officers recommend that the application is approved. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, James. Any questions for James? Darren?
Have they actually demonstrated where the new parking space is, that they can actually access it?
Apologies, could you please repeat the question?
Have they demonstrated where the new parking space is, that they can actually access it? Because obviously it's behind the new garage.
Yes, thank you. So the new parking, I'm just going to whiz to the site plan here. So these here, the car parking spaces, and they would be, the new accesses would be here. So the existing access to Richardson Road here would be basically blocked up by the existing garage. We've also included a condition, I believe it's condition 4, requiring a means of enclosure to be submitted and approved, which would block this up too. So the current access to Richardson Road would be blocked. The new access would be here, and then the car parking space is here. So the vehicles will be able to access out of that new exit and onto Barrister Place there. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Chair.
Oh, carry on, Des.
Yeah, just a quick question on the, you say the access goes down that access road. Does that mean the cars are going along to it and will turn into there? Is it a road or is it a path?
So this is an important point of the application, is that the access would go, in fact, I'll quickly go onto a site photo. I think that would be helpful. This one. So the access would be down this this road here, with the access point being approximately where my cursor is.
Yep.
So as per map 1 above paragraph 7.6.7, which is a map that's been provided to me by the local highways authority, it is adopted highway. So formally it is a road and an adopted piece of the local highway infrastructure.
And during construction, would that be closed off or blocked in any way?
Officers aren't recommending conditions relating to construction traffic management at this time.
And it's a public footpath as well, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's not a footpath. Obviously, pedestrians are free to use it and presumably do, but technically it's an adopted piece of highway, so it's more accurately described as a road, technically.
Thank you, Chair.
Any more questions? No? Okay. James, should we take that into account as part of the planning application, that highway?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it being adopted highway is quite important, because that's what makes the means of access permitted development, because Schedule 2, Part 2, Class B of the General Permitted Development Order says that you can create a new access onto a highway. So it technically being an adopted highway, but not a classified road, so not a major road essentially, is quite fundamental in sort of the acceptability of the access. So it is quite important. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. If there's no more questions, we'll go on to the speakers. And I have Mr. Mark Rycroft, but he's unfortunately he won't be able to come. So we've got a Mr. Peter Waffen to speak on his behalf.
Just for your information, Chair, yes, I'm Mr. Wycliffe, lost his wife just a few days ago. So I am speaking on his behalf. I also happen to be a resident on Harrison Place at the Wellingborough.
Okay, thank you very much. You have 3 minutes.
Just a second, let me get my glasses. I wish to object to the application as outlined in the report of Richardson Rafferty Property Consultancy, which was previously submitted. The proposal is an inappropriate development, not in keeping with the character or scale of other properties within the Richardson Way estate. It will have an overbearing effect on my property, Mr. Rycroft's. Concerns include noise, dust, and duration of construction works, all of which will negatively affect established wildlife. Bats are regularly present in this area. The properties bordering the bridle path, and it is a bridle path, despite what anybody else has said, are subject to covenants requiring maintenance of these hedgerows. If removal and replacement are proposed, clarity is needed on who holds authority to permit their removal. The deeds of Mapleton clearly state that our property is the only one with a legally granted right-of-way, signed on the 7th of March 1962. Properties on Richardson Way do not hold any deeded vehicular right-of-way over the bridle path. Introducing trade vehicles to this narrow, single-track bridleway will harm the delicate ecosystem. The bridle path was not designed for frequent vehicular use. It was created for pedestrians, school children, general foot traffic, wheelchair and mobility scooters, and for horses. It is not designed to accommodate heavy vehicles. This section of the bridle path has no drainage, no street lighting, and no footpath. Refuse vehicles cannot access my property because the bridleway is not constructed to highway standards. Additional vehicular access increases the risk of accidents, whilst also damaging a route not designed for such traffic. The applicant already benefits from a suitable entrance and exit via Richardson Way. Granting this application risks setting a precedent. The resulting development would not only appear incongruous within its surroundings...
Thank you very much, sir. And if you could just stay seated for a few minutes. Have we got any questions of clarity? James?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just a question to the speaker. You mentioned trade vehicles. In what relation to the site are you referring? Is that talking about construction trade vehicles, or is that something associated with the occupier's use of the premises?
I suppose it's both, really. Obviously, there will be construction vehicles, but even after construction were finished, if this were to be approved, the applicant has already stated, I believe, that he will be having his trade vehicles coming out of that very narrow section that you saw on the slide the planning officer kindly put up. It's just not appropriate. It doesn't actually show, and none of the plans actually show all of Barrister Place. Barrister Place is L-shaped. You've seen one part. As it goes round the corner, it narrows again, exactly where I live, in fact. And there is no footpath. People have to walk in the road. So, yes, we are seriously concerned that this is not an appropriate use of what is a bridle path.
Is that okay, James? Yes, thank you. Okay, any other questions?
Sure.
Sorry, carry on, Des.
You were saying about this, was it the footpath or bridleway, and we've been told that it's been adopted as a road. Where is the distinction in this then?
The dissension is that I would challenge them.
No, I mean the distinction between the bridleway and footpath and road.
Yes, it is designated as a bridleway and a footpath.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Des. Ben?
Thank you, Chair. I think you mentioned earlier about refuse trucks.
Yes.
Do you say they struggle to... do they manage to get through? Sorry, that was... Yeah. Do they manage to get through to the end of the road?
They cannot get through to Mapleton, not Mopleton, because the road is not suitable. They have been told not to go there because the vehicles will damage the road or the path, because as I understand it, there's only about sort of 2 inches of tarmac laid on top of basic groundwork. So that, they have received instructions not to go on that path.
Thank you, Ben. Any more questions? Okay, if you'd like to take your seat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you, colleagues.
Next up, we have Councillor Bill Cross, if you'd like to come and have a seat. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Raunds Town Council strongly object to this application. We find the proposed change of access arrangements unnecessary. The site plan shows the garage and the store positioned at the front of the dwelling, so access is naturally from Richardson Way. It is therefore difficult to understand why a change of access is needed at the rear of the property. So there's no planning justification has been provided for this change in access. Highways state that the relevant stretch of Barrister Place is 3.5 metres. That's not the case. This is only achievable if all the hedgerows and trees are removed on both sides. It's 2.8 metres. The fact that they are not protected does not mean they are not of ecological value. Highways are correct. There is an existing access governed by a 1962 covenant granting access right away to Mapleton House. While officers suggest the legal right is just a civil matter, the practical effect of a restrictive covenant is in fact a material planning consideration, because it determines whether a proposed access is deliverable. If the applicant does not hold legal right to use this land, the vehicle access, then the proposed access is not implementable. The Council therefore question how permission can reasonably be granted for development that may not be lawful to use in practice. The officer's recommendations lean heavily on the late change of position from highways. The original highways objection emphasised substandard width, unsafe vehicle pedestrian interactions, lack of visibility sprays, unsafe intensification of use, and no section, and is currently used as a footpath. The technical reclassification of the road seems all of a sudden to have overruled all these safety concerns. The geometry of the road has not changed, and therefore the Town Council considers the underland safety and design issues to be unresolved. The officer also appears to be leaning heavily on the argument that site sits in between distinct areas, Richardson Way and Berrister Place, and therefore a departure from design principles is acceptable. It can only be acceptable if it is complacent with the principles of policy R2 of the Raunds neighbourhood plan.
Thank you very much. If you'd like to stay seated for just a few minutes, just in case there's any questions for clarity.
Okay, thank you very much. I nearly got the end.
You're nearly there. Any questions for this gentleman? Morris?
Yeah. Both you and the previous resident was saying about the road being a bridle way.
Yes.
I'm on the map and it's not showing up on there. Do you have any other evidence to prove it is?
The only evidence I got is I visited in the last 2 days and there is manure all over the place there. So right. I haven't seen a horse, I've got to be honest. I don't live in that area.
Sorry, I can't help you out with that one. But no, it's just, I'm looking on the map. I've just been trying to find it, and then it's shown there's a path there, but that's what it's showing.
Yeah, but as I say, I think there's some confusion with Berrister Place, because we know that what is known by the residents as Berrister Place has been recently adopted. That their concerns are that this is not part of the bit that was adopted, because the road surface is not sufficient, no pathways, and it is only 2.8 metres, it's not 3.5. I've been down there on 2 occasions to measure it.
Okay, thank you, Morris. Jenny?
Thank you, Chair. So I don't know whether this is for Councillor Cross or for the officer to answer, so I'll just go for it. Do you know, Councillor Cross, when the reclassification of the footpath road happened?
No.
Okay, perhaps the officer might inform us. Chair?
I couldn't say when the road was classified as such, but my understanding it's not a recent designation and that it's been a adopted part of the highway for a number of years. That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, James. Any more questions for the gentleman? You may take your seat. Thank you
very much for your time.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to ask Councillor Ells to come forward now. Sorry? Yeah. Okay. And you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. So as ward member for Raunds, I fully support Raunds Town Council and local residents in their strong objection to this application. My objections are grounded in clear and relevant material planning considerations. Berrister Place narrows to approximately 3.5 metres, well below modern standards, and connects 2 pedestrian right-of-ways. It is used daily by pedestrians, and including children walking to and from school. Any increase in vehicle movements along this constrained route presents a clear danger. Although now apparently classified an adopted highway, this section has functioned for decades as a pedestrian-focused route. Introducing a new vehicle access would force cars to reverse or manoeuvre across areas regularly used by pedestrians, creating an unacceptable conflict and risk. Highways originally objected, citing substandard width, unsafe vehicle-pedestrian interactions, inadequate visibility displays, and unacceptable intensification of use along what was effectively a footpath. Those concerns remain valid. The subsequent reclassification does not alter the physical constraints of the route. So why has it been allowed to override these safety issues? And from what I understand, it was only reclassified in June. Safe sight lines cannot be achieved within the applicant's land. This increases the risk of a collision with pedestrians, cyclists or vehicles is contrary to the NPPF paragraphs 115 to 116, which requires safe and suitable access for all users. Policy 8 of the NNJCS is clear. Development must not prejudice highway safety. Even a small increase in vehicle movements is unsafe when the access is already substandard. 21 Richardson Way already has a fully compliant safe access. There is no planning reason to introduce an alternative, significantly more hazardous access. This application would substantially alter a typical 1990s estate dwelling with oversized extensions, a large front gable and contemporary cladding, producing a finished building that bears absolutely no resemblance to the cohesive and modest character of Richardson Way. The front, rear and side extensions and the relocation of the garage result in a visibly dominant form that overwhelms the plot and ignores the rhythm, spacing and roof lines of neighbouring homes. The proposed black horizontal timber cladding is wholly out of keeping and creates a stark, intrusive appearance that's at odds with the brick-built vernacular of the estate. The report appears to conflate the existence of some permitted development rights with a blanket acceptance of the entire proposal. The Mansell ruling is referenced but does not allow officers to treat the non-permitted side of the front elements as immune simply because most of the rear extension may fall under permitted development. These components materially affect the massing, parking, access and overall character of the site and must be fully assessed on their own merits. The proposal will have an overbearing impact on neighbouring properties. First floor Juliet balconies on the rear elevation increase overlooking into adjoining gardens. This is contrary to policy 8 of the joint core strategy. Relocating the garage close to the boundaries creates an intrusive and oppressive structure. Overall, the proposal harms neighbour amenity. The removal of trees and hedgerows conflicts with policy 4 of the JCS and the biodiversity SPD. No meaningful ecological mitigation has been proposed. We must ask, what is actually being achieved here? There's already a fit-for-purpose garage and safe access. The only reason to relocate the garage appears to be to justify a new access and effectively create a new address. This is a 1990s estate property designed as part of a cohesive development where uniformity, character and amenity are carefully considered. Planning policies exist to prevent overbearing, out of character and excessive development. This application introduces an unsafe and unnecessary new access, overdevelops the site, harms the character of the estate, diminishes neighbour amenity and results in ecological loss. It conflicts with multiple adopted policies and provides no public benefit to outweigh the harm. For this reason, I respectfully ask the committee to refuse this application in accordance with the NJJC policies 2, 4, 5 and 8.
And thank you very much. If you'd just like to stay seated,
I will do, thank you.
We'll just see if there's any questions for you.
Thank you.
Members, have we got any questions?
Please ask me a question.
No questions of clarity. Okay, thank you very much. You may take a seat.
So may I just ask quickly, just one final consideration. If the application is granted...
Sorry, you've had your 5 minutes.
Can we talk about possible conditions later on?
I'm really sorry you've had your 5 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take your seat. And next person up is Matthew Watts. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Lovely, thank you. This won't take 3 minutes. Chairs, member of the committee, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. I come before you not as a developer, but as a father, a husband, who hopes to create a forever home for my family. My 3 children, along with my nieces, nephews, have all grown up in this area. They have attended either Stanton or Raunds primary schools and have gone on or will soon go on to Raunds Manor School. Our family is very much rooted in this community. I've supported local activities, including sponsoring youth football teams, Raunds being one. I have apprentices from Moulton, Higham, who have attended Raunds Manor, and we have close relatives living streets away. I believe strongly in engaging with the community, so I shared 3 full-size plans with my neighbours and encouraged them to speak to me directly. Any questions or concerns, the feedback I received, there was positive feedback. I fully appreciate that change can sometimes be met with uncertainty, which is why my architect and I have worked carefully to ensure the design remains fully in line with policy guidance. I have listened to all of the objections raised this evening. However, I have nothing further to add on the planning merits of the application. The planning officer has already addressed every point that's been mentioned thoroughly in the committee report, and I respectfully ask members to take the professional assessment into account. I have made every effort to ensure the proposal complies with adopted policy, responds appropriately to all material planning considerations. And thanks again for letting me speak.
Thank you very much. Would you just stay seated for a minute?
Definitely.
Members, have we had any questions for clarity or anything? Ben?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that. Could you please walk me through the rationale for the change of access from Richardson to... Thank you.
So simply, the access that I currently have, it's not shown particularly well in the back. The boundary is actually not quite right on the site plan. It's more narrow as you enter my property, and it means that in order to get in to park in front of the double garage, you have to move one car to then get on, and it limits how I can modernise the house and bring the house forward and as the family home I want to create. So simply changing the access, which I believe is permitted development, widens that, and it gives me more scope. There'll be a carport included as well, which is permanent parking, which is I don't think we've got as a guaranteed space on the plan that, but it is. It just gives me more flexibility, and it means that the modernisation of the front is just looks better basically. Apologies for the bad wording.
James?
Thank you, Chair. One of the previous speakers mentioned trade vehicles going to the property. Can you confirm that the property, you're intending to keep it as purely residential, not as a
this is something that got thrown around amongst neighbours, and I have a business premises in Purton Hall. My wife has a business premises in Wollaston. There's no trade vehicles other than my vehicle that I take to and from work, which is one van, not multiple vans as suggested.
Okay, thank you.
Darren?
This might be for the officer rather than yourself, but has there been any tracking done?
Sorry, Chair, if that's directed to me, there's been no tracking studies submitted, and we haven't required one to be submitted either.
Any more questions? Ben?
Thank you, Chair. Just to follow up on the access, do you believe that you have enough room to get in and out of that area? I mean, I know you spoke about the existing access, that you might have some issues getting in and out there, but I mean, from the photos that I saw, it does look
I can't broaden the existing access, but I can broaden the new access. So just in terms of how I enter my property. At the moment, I have to cross my neighbour's drive without, if I want to park 2 cars side by side without moving one. It's just the nature of those sort of those keyhole sort of estates. There is definitely enough room. I've demonstrated the visual display. There's more than enough. the hedges aren't protected. I have every, you know, I have no interest in just ripping the hedges down. They serve a beautiful boundary to my house. It'll be absolute minimal impact, and it already serves as a highway. My children use it for their school access. There's no way I want to endanger the public. But yes, in short, yeah, I'm confident, and it's demonstrated as well, actually.
Thank you.
Carry on.
Follow up. In terms of your waste collections, well, that's what road?
Well, actually, that's an interesting one, because up until very recently, after the planning application went in, Mapleton's waste refuge was collected outside my house, which is a long-standing agreement with the binman. But I think in order to aid some of the arguments, that's now been moved to Barista Place. I can quite comfortably walk them down the end of the highway, or I can walk them out the front to the piece of land which I will still own. There's multiple places for the bins to go. It is of no concern, to be honest.
Thank you, Ben. Any other members like to come back? No? Sorry, Des.
I can understand that you've decided to modernise your home because it's the 1990s construction. How much did you consider the changes compared to the other houses in the area?
I think considering them is also part of perhaps the change of access, because it essentially turns it to face a slightly different direction and gives a little bit more security to what is a dark highway, as highlighted. We've actually amended the planning application to keep the brick banding and a dummy window, I think is what they said. So it's been very well considered, and I don't believe there's been any objections from anyone on Richardson Way on the character change.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dennis. Any more members? No? Please take your seat. Thank you very much. Would anybody like to come back and ask questions of James? Jenny?
Thank you, Chair. James, can you just clarify the width of the road? And the second question doesn't escape me at the moment, but yeah, just clarify the width of the road.
If I may, I just want to clarify what we're saying to you in our report. So in the report, you've got an extract of the adopted highway map. So as a matter of fact, this council considers that roadway to be adopted. As a consequence, the applicant does not need planning permission to put an access way into his property from that road. So if we were to refuse this application this evening, an access way could be taken from that adopted highway tomorrow. It is outside of our control. And what we're saying, because of case law, is you have to give consideration to the fact that that matter can be undertaken outside of our control. So we can happily answer questions about the width of the highway, but I thought it was best to clarify that the access from that highway is not something which requires consent of this authority, and you need to keep that in mind when you're considering the application before you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Alex, for that. Yes, Jenny? Yes.
No, thanks, Alex. I asked the question because there seemed to be some confusion between the speakers as to the actual width. I mean, I take your point on, so perhaps I shouldn't have asked, but so thanks for that. Can I ask my second question, Chair?
Certainly can, Jenny.
So one of the speakers mentioned bats. I just wondered whether we'd had any response back from ecology on that, or environmental, sorry.
We haven't had any formal representation from the in-house ecology team. The application's not of a scale that we would sort of typically consult them.
Thank you, James. Any more questions, clarification? No? Okay. So for the purpose of the debate and in accordance with the Council's Constitution, Meeting Procedure Rules 19.2 and 19.21, I will move the recommendation at item 10, page 35 of the pack as follows. It is recommended that the application be approved subject to the conditions contained within section 11 of the report. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Jenny. Right, members, let's have a nice debate. Thank you very much. James?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, it's a shame about removal of the trees and the hedges, which do have ecological value, even though they're only moved in section. It looks like a lane. It doesn't look like a road, so I can understand why people consider it a footpath and that vehicles shouldn't be going up and down there. But there is already vehicular access to Montford House, so that principle has been established. I'm a little bit concerned about the level of lighting down there and the quality of the road surface, although it sounds like it is being currently used for vehicles, so how well it stands up in the future and what happens to that unclassified road. I don't know if it gets maintained or relayed by the council. So I do have concerns. It seems a shame that they can't use Richardson close continually. I see no planning regulations or material considerations that would stop us from approving this application unless other members of the committee can highlight those to the contrary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. And, sorry, is that Dennis? Yeah, carry on, Dennis.
Yeah, I think over the years when you see these estates that are being built, and they were all basically the same, the same build, the same bricks, the same roof, the same gardens and everything. I moved into one in the sort of late 70s, and it was an estate which was similar type, and although mixed type houses, they all basically look the same. But as time moves on, people decide then that they want to maybe upgrade the buildings, upgrade their houses, and slowly they morph into little bits of different things. And so it's always difficult when somebody wants to make a big change to a home and it looks as if it stands out from everybody else. But consequently, I don't think we're here really to control how people change their homes unless it is, too outrageous to an extent. And as far as we seem to have, there was a debate there about what the road was, or a bridle path. Was it a path? Was it a road? And it seems to be, as the officers have said, it's actually been adopted as a road. And so vehicular traffic use it all the time. So on that sense, I think it's one of these planning applications that stands on its own 2 feet, I think. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dennis. Any other members like to comment? Darren? Yeah.
Changing the location of the garage, that makes sense. You can easily go onto Find My Streets and it will show you it's an adopted road. You can also go onto the path, footpath maps, and you can see that's also right away. So as far as I stand, it's on the internet, it's there. As far as the changes to the property itself, well, unfortunately that's really coming to get with the times, and things change and styles change, and just right now the style of the development is in keep with right now. So I would be approving of this.
Thank you very much, Darren. And Paul?
Yeah, I'm very similar to Darren, really. I've actually done many of these extensions, and they are very nice. Improve the houses massively for family use. As of about the access, I think the width is neither here nor there. At the end of the day, it's your vehicle, and the damage will be on yours when it's scratched down the side if it's too big. But and another point to that is I have horses, and it's quite often get manure on my road, and that doesn't make it a bridleway. And so the width of the road is neither here nor there. It's adopted. It's a road. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Ben?
Thank you, Chair. while given obviously that we've come to the conclusion that this is obviously a highway, it's registered, it can be seen everywhere. Obviously the community do consider it a footpath. It's obviously a fairly well trafficked area. Obviously, if we're going to be adding on another access point onto this, is there a possibility of a condition to for some additional signage to remind people of the vehicles that are going to be in the area? Thank you.
Alex, would you like to come back on that?
So the legal test that we have to satisfy before we can impose any condition is effectively it has to be necessary in planning terms. So a planning condition is there to make something which would otherwise be unacceptable in planning terms acceptable. In this instance, the creation of the access way off the adopted highway is permitted development, therefore it has the benefit of that planning consent already in place, and therefore we couldn't argue that imposing a condition would make something which is unacceptable acceptable, because they could do it without our consent. So my advice in this instance is I don't think we can impose that condition. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that clarity. Any other members like to come back on anything? Okay, thank you very much. I think we've had a really good debate on this, so I'll request members to go for the vote, and I'd like to see a show of hands. Orange cards in favour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I count 10? 10. So that's 10 in favour. Anybody against? No. Okay, and obviously no abstentions. So I would say that was carried in favour of it with 10 votes. Thank you very much, everybody. Should we have a 5-minute comfort break?
I would advise the what's the word? Oh, Carol, the 10 o'clock. Just be mindful that we do have one application left, and we do have a guillotine of 10 o'clock to decide whether to continue the matter. So it might be prudent to power through with the last application. Okay. Okay.
Take 2 minutes for a comfort break. Thank you. to item number 6, and that's NK-2025-0183 Millbrook Junior School. And I will now hand over to Mr. Alan Chapman. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Chair. Before I start, just to remind committee that there is a committee update with 3 items essentially in it. It's just really just make you aware that essentially negotiations are still going on trying to establish a baseline BNG. Second item really is just the applicant providing sort of more detailed information just to clarify really what they're doing with the old school building and its purpose. And the third thing to note is the recommendation has been changed with additional Section A approval of a BNG baseline metric to reflect ongoing negotiations to establish that. Okay, so this application seeks planning permission for a new modular classroom building to replace an existing structure that has reached the end of its life. The proposed building will be located on part of the school's playing field adjacent to the existing classroom, which will be removed once the new facility is fully operational. The development aims to provide high-quality teaching space for additional pupils, including those with special educational needs. Sports England, a statutory consultee, maintains its objection due to the loss of playing field provision, which conflicts with the National Planning Policy Framework and relevant development plan policies, as outlined in my report. So, planning policy and planning legislation requires a minimum of 10% biodiversity net gain on the site. The Council's ecologist advises that this can be achieved through a landscaping scheme, such as widening the existing hedgerows around the site. However, an accurate baseline biodiversity assessment is still required before such a scheme can be agreed. Subject to these biodiversity and landscaping matters being satisfactorily addressed, the benefits of achieving a 10% net gain and delivering improved teaching facilities for local children, including those with special educational needs, are considered to outweigh the minor loss of playing field provision. Okay, so I'll now just run through the slides. So the entire school site is outlined in red. The green area is what's classified as school playing field, and the orange blobs are the school buildings, and this one in particular is the existing old building. So we can see in a bit more detail the school playing field. You can see the running tracks there. We've got a row of properties down the side here. This is the existing classroom building, which they will eventually remove, and the proposed classroom building will be placed on this parcel of playing field land. That's just to clarify the existing building, modular building as it's called in orange, and the location of the closed classroom building in pink, as you can see, similar dimensions. That's just a floor plan of the classroom building, just to give a clarity. So it's a single building, and within it it's got 4 classrooms plus some breakout space for teaching purposes. Elevations of what it would look like. Windows won't be blue, I don't think. That's just the architect's artistic license. But it will be sort of timber clad, so not particularly unobtrusive, especially when you see the existing classroom. So again, just some site photographs. The existing school building is just poking out to the right here. The new school building will be on this piece of playing field here, and St Anthony Road properties in the distance. Similar sort of angle again, existing classroom to the right, and looking at the existing classroom, looking a bit tired and dated, and in the update it's confirmed that obviously the additional number of pupils that school has taken on this are using that classroom as is. Seeing it from a different angle from the back of the school, and essentially we're back to the beginning now. So at the end of my slideshow. Thank you.
Sorry, James. I'm still looking at the pictures. Right, so have we any questions? Ben?
Thank you, Chris. So this is my ward in Eyes, and I'm just curious to know, is there a traffic management plan required as a condition on this? I'm sorry, I was trying to make my way down there.
Sorry, there are no proposed conditions, and there's no consultations with the Highways Authority. And I'm led to believe by an informal conversation with the school teacher that gave me access to take the site photos was that their school numbers had dropped and they're just sort of increasing back really due to a demand to cater for this particular type of children they're taking on board.
Thank you. I get casework pretty much every week from residents on Churchill Way that have multiple traffic issues throughout the site just from normal day-to-day use. So I'm just curious if, I mean, obviously we'll get onto that part a little bit later, but I'm just wondering if there's a way that we could mitigate the construction element of that, just to mitigate that disruption. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? Dennis?
Yeah, just to follow on what Ben was saying, my two granddaughters, they went to the school last year, and traffic's traffic for those schools, and that they're just everywhere all the time, and people just park where they want, so I don't think there's really much way of controlling it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dennis. Anybody'd like to come back on anything else? Paul?
I think really you're only talking about a like-for-like size. You're just talking about a different kind of pupil as opposed to SEND pupils as opposed to regular whatever, and so therefore that building is going to be returned back to a
Sorry,
a
Paul,
space.
could I just interrupt you 1 second? Alex would like to come in.
Sorry, I might have missed the section, so I'm just going to confirm. So I believe we're on the questions to officers section. So what I'm picking up on is we've had two questions about traffic. Are you also concerned about the traffic movements?
No, I was just going to basically say that that's going to get returned back to a usable space, green space,
yeah.
or something. My point was basically that you're already going to move the building over. The existing building is going to be returned back to a green space or a whatever, and I'm assuming that's their intention.
So sorry, Alan, if I just make one point. For absolute clarity, if you look at the report before you and the conditions, we do not have a condition listed at the moment which requires them to demolish that existing building in a certain time frame. So whilst we understand that's their intention, there's no condition recommended at this moment which says they must do it within a certain time from when they put the new building in place. So if there is a concern about the two buildings being side by side, about capacity, about traffic, you have the opportunity to look at adding a condition to have that taken away. We've got no control otherwise, do we? Yeah, have we got any controls in place as our recommendation for that existing building to be taken away in a certain time frame?
No.
So that was what I was trying to ascertain. If they've built the new one, I think realistically we should have something that says this must come down and be returned back to like a green space or a...
Alex, would you like to take that?
Sorry, Chair. So this, I know I'm very procedural. So in this section of the meeting, we're asking questions. So the officer response is, if you're concerned about the two buildings being there, then when we get to the debate section of the meeting, you might need to put forward a recommendation and vote on it to change it. You've also talked about construction. There's no construction management plan condition on there at this moment in time. This is a modular building. This is not a large-scale building construction works that we're anticipating. So we as officers have not felt that was necessary to be imposed upon the recommendation, but you have it in a gift in the next session of the meeting if you want to consider and vote upon any change to the recommendation for construction management plan also. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Alex. And
sorry,
would you like to come back on that one?
If I may, Chair, it's of the school operator's intention would be to deliver the building, as it were, not during term time because, because the original plan was to do it over the summer when the school is shut. So in terms of perhaps managing traffic, because they want this, So the old, So
much appreciated for that.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Ross?
I know we're going back onto the old building, but is that our intention during the summer holidays then to do the new building and take the old one down at the same time?
The way I understand it is the new building would be it's a modular building, so that would be done during when the school outside of term time, so there's no children about and it gives them access to put it. The old school building they wouldn't be in use at that time. So when the new modular building is up and running, it's all plugged in electrics and they've got all the furniture in there, so on and so forth. So it's ready to become operational. The children will then be starting to use that new building, and the other one will be decommissioned. In terms of the timing of when it's taken away, the applicant hasn't actually given me those precise details, but that is something I could ask outside of the meeting.
Okay, we'll go into that in the next section. Thanks.
Thank you, Boris. Any more questions? No? Okay. Right. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the debate now. There's been a slight amendment to the recommendation. So, for the purpose of debate and in accordance with the Council's Constitution, meeting procedure rules 19.2 and 19.21, I will move the recommendation at the item of page 10, 55 of the pack as follows. The committee resolves to delegate authority to the Executive Director of Place and Economy to approve the application subject to A, an agreement of BNG baseline metric, the conditions as set out in section 11 of the published report, including any amendments to those conditions deemed necessary, and confirmation from the Secretary of State that the application will not be called in for their own determination. May I have a seconder, please? Thank you very much. And let's have a nice debate then. Thank you very much. Ben?
Thank you, Chair. Obviously this is a welcome development, being providing SEN places in the vicinity. I mean, we've got Kingsley Special Academy just to the north of that photo there, which is at capacity. So the additional capacity is going to be brilliant. I would just again like to raise the issue of construction traffic management. I mean, I get casework on this road pretty much every day. Well, every other day. I've had one earlier this morning about cars parking over driveways and various things across residents' homes. Appreciate that this is hopefully going to be undertaken within the summer holiday period. But I mean, I work for a main contractor myself, and it's, although you might have your start and end date, I mean, things do tend to shift if there's some issues on the site or with material lead time. So I would really like for debate to consider that as a condition. Thank you.
Paul?
Sorry. So I was just going to go back to my other point, which was basically, are we going to put in something that says this building has to come down and return it to a green space? And secondly, on your point, they're going to want to finish that within the holidays, because working in schools for construction companies is an absolute nightmare. As soon as the kids go in there, it just becomes a whole different ball game.
Thank you, Paul.
Well, can I say the applicant supplied this amended drawing just to demonstrate, because that's what I was trying to get out of the applicants, because the description of the development it didn't quite make sense, as it were, but I was just trying to get clarity from them that the development involves removing the existing building. So, and in the update, I think they confirm in their update that they will be removing the old classroom, and it's envisaged. The applicant themselves aren't quite sure what they're going to do with that parcel of land once that building's going on, which is tied in with the ongoing negotiations with the baseline biodiversity net gain assessment, which potentially that parcel of land there could form part of the as a landscaping scheme, so it could be included in the landscaping scheme, so that area is going to be repurposed for something unknown present at the moment, because I've had sort of 3 different stories on this, what it could possibly be, but the intention is that the once we've got a correct BNG assessment, then that would inform the landscaping condition, which will hopefully then include the restoration of that parcel of land. But the applicant and the project managers involved have all sort of assured me that the old building's going because it's not fit for purpose, and that they will do something with that land. Yeah.
Thank you. Morris?
If we're putting an amendment in, Paul, I will second your amendment, if that's okay.
Yeah, are we doing that? We're going to put in an amendment to make sure that they...
Just take the building down.
Yeah, that they take the building down.
I don't know if can I speak with 2 others? Yes, I can. Yes, if members want to move a motion, and somebody would like to propose a motion for a condition, that motion would have to be moved and seconded, and then that would be up for the debate, and you can discuss what the wording of the condition would be. But I believe the wording will be would be finalised by members. Is that correct? I think that's part of the resolution anyway, Alex. The recommendation, any conditions, the wording of the conditions would be finalised.
We get there.
James?
Yeah, just on the removal of the building, I'm not too sure what we're saying, because it's the drawing the planning officer just showed us with the existing footprint being grassed over. That's part of the planning application. That one, yes. So they're required to do that at some point. Are we just talking about a time frame to put on the school?
So yeah, if I can assist. So yes, it's clear from the plans what the intention is, but there's no end date. So if this was 10 years down the line and it hadn't happened, we couldn't turn around as a local planning authority and say, well, you failed to comply, because they could say we're still in the process of implementing the planning consent. So if you think it's necessary, what you would need to do is to move a motion to add on a condition to specify the time frame by which the removal of the old classroom needs to be taken away. Because we don't know what the school's plans are, and because I would suggest it's imperative that the school and are able to continue provision. We don't want a situation where we ask them to take away a building when they still rely upon it for delivering the function of the school. What you might want to do is to delegate powers to officers to engage with the school as the applicant, to agree a time frame as part of a condition to make sure we do have a backstop position to take that away.
So basically what you're saying is we can just straight delegate it, the powers, or we can put in an amendment to delegate that powers.
So somebody needs to make a proposal being, for example, that an additional condition be added to the recommendation, and powers have delegated to officers to engage with the school to identify a reasonable time period by which time the existing building will be taken away. If that proposal is seconded, you then debate that proposal and then vote on that proposal to see if you want to change the main recommendation.
Are you putting that forward? That's what I said.
Yeah,
I'm proposing that.
I second. That's it.
Chair, now we would need to invite debate on the motion that is before members.
Okay. So, as I understand it then, we'll now vote on a debate for the amendment, okay, that we want to put a time scale on when the building is removed. Is that correct? Okay. Are you happy with that?
To delegate powers to officers to engage with the school to determine an appropriate time frame by which the existing building will be removed and the wording of the condition to be finalised by officers.
Okay then. Shall we have a debate on that? Can I have a proposer? Right, okay, right. And just a seconder, just for clarity. Okay, let's have a debate then. James?
Yeah, on this issue, I think it's my feeling that we can take the school on its word that it is intending to remove the existing building. It's, as I understand it, it's old and it's in poor condition, so I'm not sure why they would want to keep it for an extended period of time. So I don't see why we should be putting this extra condition on the school.
Thank you very much, James. Maurice?
But if we put it in place and the officer deems it's not necessary, then you should be able to just take it away then. Because if there's no need for it to be there, and they're going to take it away near enough within a year, there's no point. But if there's a risk, yeah, we've got to put it in place just to make sure.
Jenny?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. I totally agree. I think it's all very well saying that the school's intention is, but I think we need a condition and we need to delegate it to the powers that be that get the wording right. I think we need it in place, I'm afraid. Sorry, James.
Thank you, Jenny. Anybody else like to come on that? No? Okay. I think it's a difficult one. I can't really see the school wanting to keep it there longer than what it needs because the building's all dilapidated. And bringing this extra amendment, I personally don't see the need for it. But obviously we will put it to a vote and see what our members think. So.
If members have no further comments as part of the debate, then members would move to the vote on the amendment, not the substantive application. So this is a vote on the amendment only.
Do we need cards?
Yes.
We'll move to the vote then, and we'll have a show of cards for. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. And a show of cards for against, please. 1, 2, 3, 4 against. So the was 4 against, no abstentions. No abstentions, so I would say that the vote was carried on 6. Okay, thank you very much. And let's go back to the original debate. All right, thank you very much. Ben?
Thank you, Chair. I would also like to put forward my motion for a construction management plan as part of the process. I mean, a competent contractor would produce one of these anyway, but I think it would be a good process to make sure that's in place. Thank you.
If Councillor Williams is putting forward a proposal, a motion for a condition to include a construction management plan, that would need to be seconded and to move to the debate about how that should be worded, and I'm sure Alex can assist.
Alex, would you like to assist?
So I think this is a lot more simple, effectively. So what you're considering is a proposal that within the delegation to officers that an additional condition is put forward to require that a construction management plan is submitted and agreed by the local planning authority before works are undertaken. And I believe the reason for that condition is concerns about highway safety and convenience to the adjacent Churchill Way.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Alex. So, shall we now have a proposer for that amendment? Are you? Yeah, and a seconder. Okay, and so we'll go to the vote now with a show of hands for.
Chair, we just need to debate the motion.
Okay, sorry. Do we want to debate this motion? Okay, James.
Yeah, it's standard practice for a contractor to provide a traffic management plan, so I don't see as it's a particularly onerous condition.
Okay, thank you, James. Anybody like to come back on that?
Yeah, can I just clarify with you, Ben? Are you just basically talking about the construction company going to take this in? Is that Darren says this is probably a modular unit which will be basically lifted in and dropped onto prepared.
More on the civils.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously with it being a modular unit, there'll still be an element of groundworks, drainage connection, that sort of thing. However, the main obviously build will be, you know, craned in, and but then you'll still likely have an element of interior fit out as well. So there will be quite some traffic movement still going on. It's not quite as generally as simple as just turning up and dropping it in. But I do get your point. I mean, just to the north of this site, we've got the Kingsley Special Academy, and then just to the south, we've got Millbrook Infants, and the traffic on a morning is absolutely crazy. So I think residents would be grateful knowing that something's in place. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they do it on the school holidays. That way, you know, the traffic's limited, isn't it?
Paul?
Sorry. I think really, you know, this is a fairly foregone conclusion. Most companies do it. It's a schedule of works, basically, isn't it? And how they're going to deal with traffic management. As we say, it's modular. There's very little except for groundwork, the actual lift, and then the final fit out. So I don't see this as an unreasonable request, to be fair.
Thank you, Paul. Anybody else like to comment? No. So in that case, we've had a proposer and a seconder. So we'll move for the vote, and I'd like to see a show of cards for, please. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 for. I'll take it there's nobody against and there's no abstention, so that is carried with a vote of 10. Thank you very much. And let's move back to the original debate. Anybody would like to say anything further on it? Jenny?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the officer for the report, and I think this is a brilliant and worthwhile scheme to go forward.
Thank you very much, Jenny. And Paul?
I concur with Jenny.